Welcome to Diamond Traffic's informational video featuring the Omega X3. Let's start by taking a look at the X3's faceplate. In the upper left, we have the air switch or tube activation indicators. Each one will activate when the Omega X3 detects an air pulse from a properly attached pneumatic road tube. Next, we have the LCD graphic display. This will allow you to view your interactions with the Omega X3. The display will enter a sleep mode when not in use, and this is by design in order to extend battery life. The display will also indicate what arrow functions are available. Next are the USB ports. The top one is used for USB thumb drives and data retrieval. The bottom one is used to connect to a computer and Centurion software via a standard USB cable. To the far right of the faceplate, we have the USB button. This is used to start the file copy process over to an inserted thumb drive. Below the display, we have the 12-key keypad. You can use this for data entry such as a site ID. You can type in the number by simply touching the appropriate numeric character button. Alpha characters are entered by holding the Alt key and tapping the numeric number which corresponds to the printed letter desired. To the right of the keypad, we have our directional keys or arrows. You can use these to navigate through the display menu. Above and left of the arrow keys, you will find the Cancel button. Use this button to cancel an operation or to step backwards in the menu. To the right of the Cancel button is the Enter button. Use this to select a menu option or to step forward through a menu. To the right of the faceplate is the external battery bay. The only time you will need to populate the battery holder is when you collect Bluetooth MAC addresses or have an Iris modem installed. Remember, the Omega X3 does not have a power switch, so it is always on. To activate the display, simply press any key on the keypad. The only key that will not activate the display is the Alt key. Doing this will take us to the main menu, where our choices are Start Recording. This option will change to Stop Recording when you're actively recording data. Settings, Show Status, Diagnostics, and Files. Press the right arrow key twice, then the down arrow or enter once, and let's take a quick look through the Settings menu. Here we will see Clock, Display, USB Reset, Bluetooth, Factory Reset, About, and Return to Main Menu. Let's arrow right to return to the clock menu and press Enter. The clock menu allows for manually adjusting the date and time if needed. Keep in mind that we do use the 24-hour clock format. Here you can use the keypad or up and down arrows to enter the correct information. Press the left arrow to begin, and you'll notice the dark background in the hour block. Manually enter the correct hour, or use the arrows to increment up or down. Right arrow or enter key will move forward through each step of this process. The left arrow key will move you back one step if needed. Changing the time zone is just as easy using the up or down arrow keys. When finished, press the right arrow or enter key to be returned to the Settings menu. Arrow right once to the display setting and press Enter. Here we can set or configure how the display will function. To keep the current settings, press Enter. To change them, press the left arrow key. The first item is the backlight timeout value. This setting will impact battery life. You can increase or decrease the amount of time the backlight is active by using the up or down arrows. Pressing the right arrow or enter key will advance to the display timeout value. That's how soon the display will go to sleep. Again, using the up or down arrows to change the value, followed by the right arrow or enter buttons in order to accept the changes. Once you've confirmed these settings are to your liking, press enter twice in order to exit this menu. Press right arrow once and enter, and next is the USB reset option. Pressing enter presents this option in order to perform the reset. Activating this will cause the Omega X3 to reset the USB subsystem in both ports. If activated, you will be returned to the menu. Arrow right one time, press enter, and the Bluetooth setting is next. Here you will be able to specify when the Bluetooth radio is to be active. If you select the always on option, you will need to populate the external battery holder and connect it, as the Bluetooth radio requires much more power to function. Using the arrow keys, we can enable or disable the Bluetooth MAC address collection function. Make your selection and press enter. If enabled, the external battery pack must have fresh batteries installed and be connected. Next, we can select whether to show the collect Bluetooth MAC address question during the start recording sequence. If you do not intend to collect Bluetooth MAC addresses, select Disable and press Enter. This returns you to the menu. Pressing the right arrow takes us to the factory reset option. Pressing Enter presents the option to perform the reset. Activating this will cause the Omega X3 to reset the unit to factory default settings. After the reset has been completed, you will be given the option to erase collected data. If you have not verified all data has been downloaded, select No. If you don't need the data or have already downloaded all of it, select Yes and press Enter. Remember, there's no recovery process available to retrieve deleted files. Use this with caution. In this example, we select No and press Enter. This returns us to the menu, and the About screen is next. Press right arrow and enter. Here you can see the various firmware versions that are present in the Omega X3. Due to the factory reset we just did, some of those entries will be 0. We can populate them by completing a power on reset. Press and hold the Alt button and tap the Cancel button. When finished, the Omega X3 will return you to the main menu and Start Recording option. From here, we can navigate back to the About screen to see all firmware version numbers. Press up arrow twice to return to the main menu. Arrow over to Show Status and press Enter, and here we can see the following: System Status, Files, Data Study, Main Menu Access. Right arrow to System Status and press Enter. Based upon how much traffic has been recorded, System Status will show you how much memory is currently being used and an estimated number of days remaining in order to fill up memory. Pressing the down arrow will display the temperature in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. Pressing the down arrow again will show you current battery voltage. The Omega X3 can display both primary or internal and secondary external battery voltages down to 2 decimal places. For example, you can use this screen to gauge how much longer you should expect to record Bluetooth MAC addresses. Down arrow returns us to the status menu. Right arrow once, enter, and we're moved to Files. Here we can see a summary of the number of files currently stored on the Omega X3, how much space those files occupy, and if the Omega X3 is actively recording data or is in standby mode. You may access the list of all files in memory by pressing List or down arrow. If you are in standby mode, you will have the option to press Erase using the left arrow. You will then be prompted to erase the entire memory, and there's no way to retrieve those deleted files. You cannot erase files while recording. Here we decline to erase files, pressed Enter and No, and return to the menu. Right arrow one time and press Enter to access Data Study. This shows you current study details, including the site name, starting date and time, the size of the current file, and the duration of your study. Pressing Next or down arrow, and the next screen will show you the grand total of vehicles. This includes a breakout between the number of cars and the number of trucks recorded. It will also show you the ADT, or average daily traffic, if the study is longer than 2 days in length. Press Next or down arrow, and the next screen shows you the average speed, peak volume, peak time, and class percentage recorded during this study. Note that the data file can contain a summary of these values and more in a file footer. Returning to the main menu, Diagnostics is up next. Here we can select the type of details that are displayed as vehicles cross any connected road tube. We will activate our calibrator in order to simulate vehicle traffic. We can now select and view individual vehicles, volume, sensor activations, using the arrow keys to scroll through available choices. Pressing the down or enter buttons will return us to the previous menu. The last entry on the menu is Files. This is the same information that we can access from the Show Status and Files menu. From Files, press the right arrow and enter in order to walk through the steps in order to start recording. The first question is the axle collection mode, and for most studies, normal OC mode will work. Normal and OC mode is basic axle collection mode or external open collector inputs. Enhanced mode will add an analog to digital conversion process in order to detect axle activations. All mixed will add the enhanced processing and tag each activation as either a bicycle or a vehicle. Vehicles only is the same as all or mixed, but it will only display vehicles while recording all activations. Bicycles only is the same as all mixed, only displaying bicycles while recording each activation. For this example, navigate to Normal OC and press Enter. Now it's time to enter a site ID. This depends upon your file naming convention. Any alphanumeric combination may be entered using the keypad. Press Enter when completed, and the next screen shows GPS location. The Omega X3 will automatically scan the skies for satellites, showing progress via a series of dots. When satellites are located and signals locked onto, the Omega X3 will indicate the number of satellites found. You can then see the current GPS location details become finer as the Omega X3 locks onto more satellites. If GPS coordinates are displayed, the date and time are also updated. Now, this does depend upon your physical location and access to clear skies. You can skip this step by pressing Cancel. Due to time constraints and the fact we are inside our offices, we are skipping this step. If you choose to skip the step, you must ensure that both date and time are correct. Pressing Enter allows you to pre-select the road tube layout that you plan on using for your data collection. Be advised that there are different presets available for collecting volume or per vehicle records, which can then be used for classification studies. To change from volume to vehicle and back, press the 0 key. Press the arrow keys to select the proper layout and Enter to select. Remember, the road tube layout on the road surface needs to match this selection. Next, you can verify vehicle traffic after connecting the road tubes to your Omega X3. Here, we will use our calibrator again. If you agree with the displayed information as compared to the live vehicle traffic you are observing, press Enter. If you disagree with the displayed information, check your tubes and spacings between tube pairs for per vehicle data, keeping in mind that the Omega X3 defaults to 4-foot spacing. For volume studies, that default is 1 foot. Also, make sure you check the road tube strike sequence and that it is correct. All of these will have an impact on the on-the-fly details shown on your display. Once you have corrected any issues, press Enter to start data collection. The screen will change, showing Setup Complete, and prompt you to either start or abort the data study. You will now notice that View Traffic has replaced Start Recording, and Stop Recording is now available. The View Traffic menu item will display the same information as seen in the Diagnostics screen. To put the display to sleep, press the Cancel button until the screen goes blank. To stop data collection, press any key except Alt to activate the display and use the arrows to navigate to Stop Recording and press Enter. To confirm the stoppage of data collection, press the left arrow. A confirmation message along with the file number will be displayed. To view the study summary details, press the down arrow. Here you will see the site ID, start and stop times and dates, and the size of the file. The next screen will show grand total, total number of cars, total number of trucks, and ADT if the study was longer than 2 days. This information will also display when the file is imported using the Centurion software. Down arrow will now show average speed, peak volume, peak time, and class percentage. The recorded data can now be retrieved by either using a USB thumb drive or by connecting the Omega X3 to a computer and linking it to Centurion. In order to retrieve a copy of the study with the thumb drive, we simply insert the drive into the Omega X3 and press the USB button. And this concludes our presentation of the Omega X3. If you liked this video, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Comments are welcome, but we would ask that you keep them constructive and on topic.